When you picture a witch, the image is familiar. A cackling old hag, a black cat, a broomstick against the moon. But deep in the ancient forests of Russia and the Slavic lands, there is a witch who breaks every mold. She lives in a hut that walks on giant chicken legs. She flies not on a broom, but inside a flying mortar, pushing herself through the air with a pestle. And here is the strangest part of all. She might just save your life, if you pass her test. By the end of this story, you will understand why Baba Yaga is a far more complex figure than any simple wicked witch. Her ambiguity reflects a forgotten truth, a truth about our relationship with the wild, untamed world. It is a relationship of fear, yes, but also of desperate, necessary respect. Let us name the assumption you carry. We assume Baba Yaga is a purely evil monster, an ogress who exists to steal and eat children, much like the witches in other European fairy tales. The gingerbread house witch, the one who lures with sweets. We assume she is simple, base, evil, but the Slavic forest does not work in simple binaries, and neither does its mistress. Imagine you are deep in the Russian taiga. The trees here are ancient. They are thick and dark. They blot out the sun. The paths have all closed behind you. You are utterly lost. Then through the mist you see it, a hut, a cabin of dark, mossy logs. But it does not sit on stone. It does not sit on logs. It squats on a pair of giant chicken legs. The legs are thick as old tree trunks. They are scaly. They end in huge dark claws. The hut shifts its weight. It stamps one foot into the mud. It slowly turns. It is looking at you. It has no windows on this side, but it sees you anyway. This is the home of Baba Yaga, the Iron Hag. She does not walk through her forest. She sits inside a giant stone mortar, and she rows it through the air using a pestle. In her other hand she carries a broom of silver birch. She sweeps away every track she makes. You cannot follow her. Her fence is not made of wood. It is a palisade of human skulls, carefully arranged on spikes. Their empty eye sockets glow with a strange pale fire. Their jawbones hang open in a silent scream. They mark her territory. They warn the living. In the most common tales, she is a simple monster. She is a bogeyman. She lures children. She fries them in her great clay oven. She has iron teeth. She sharpens them on a stone. They are filed to points. They are made for grinding the bones of the foolish. This is the classic nightmare of the forest witch, the enemy of all who are young and weak. But here is where it gets strange. The story does not end with her as a simple monster. It never does. If she is merely a child-eating demon, why do so many ancient tales describe her, helping the hero achieve their quest? Why does she give them magic? The answer breaks the fairy tale mold entirely. Contrary to the simple child-eating witch, Baba Yaga sometimes plays the role of a generous donor. She gives heroes magical objects, a ball of thread that rolls home all by itself, a horse that speaks with a human voice, a comb that can turn into an impenetrable forest when thrown to the ground. She does this even though she eats the unwary. According to Slavic folklore, there is not just one Baba Yaga. There is a sisterhood, sometimes a trio, sometimes more, all bearing the same name, all living in identical huts deep in the forest. This makes her identity intentionally fluid. Is she one woman, or a cycle of them? Is she a type of spirit, a title, rather than a single person? She is a role that is filled. Her response to a visitor depends entirely on that person's courage and their sacred manners. The hero who is polite, humble, and does not flinch at her iron teeth will often survive. They almost always win her favor. She offers them riddles. She sets them impossible tasks. Sort the poppy seeds from the dirt. Weave the cloth in a single night. Clean the hut that is never clean. These tasks are barriers. They are crucibles. So what separates those she devours from those she empowers? The answer lies in the very nature of the forest she rules. The wild does not judge you. The wind does not hate you. The wolf does not respect you. It simply responds to what you are. If you are prey, you are eaten. If you are worthy, you are given a path. And that is a terrifying kind of justice. Baba Yaga lives deep in the forest, but the forest is not just a location on a map. It is a realm that is wild, untamed, dangerous. It exists entirely outside the safe, ordered world of the human community. There are no borders here, no straight roads, only winding paths and deep, silent shadows. Her hut is not anchored to the ground. It stands on those chicken legs so it can turn, it can dance, it can disappear into the mist. It spins endlessly, maintaining its silence. The seeker must say the sacred words, the command, the only thing that halts it. Little hut, turn your back to the forest and your front to me. Only then does it stop. Only then does the strange groaning door creak open and invite you inside. She is a liminal being. She sits at the border of everything, between life and death, between the known village and the unknown wilderness, between childhood and the hard, unavoidable lessons of adulthood. Folklorists have looked at her and recognized something profoundly ancient. She may be a remnant of an old nature deity, a mother goddess of the forests, one who ruled over both creation and destruction with equal indifference. The cycle of life cannot exist without both halves. You cannot have the harvest without the long, harsh winter. You cannot have life without the one who grinds the bones back into soil. If she is a leftover spirit of the wilderness, what does her ambivalence say about how our ancestors understood the untamed world? They knew it was not good or evil. It was a force. You had to respect it. You had to know the rules, or it would consume you entirely. Heroes who succeed in the tales of Baba Yaga are those who accept her absolute terms. They are humble. They are unshakably brave. They do not flinch at her terrifying skull fence. They do not run screaming from her iron teeth. They do not beg for their small, frightened lives. They simply look at her. They ask politely for what they need. They act without hesitation. The witch often gives them impossible tasks. Sort the poppy seeds from the dirt. Spin the flax. Clean the hut. These are not busy work. They are symbolic trials. They are the trials one must face to gain wisdom and inner power. They test your patience. They test your skill. They test the very foundation of your character. Those who are selfish, or cruel, or lazy, are inevitably devoured. The greedy boy who insults her becomes her stew. The haughty girl who steals the golden apple is turned to ash and dust on the wind. Baba Yaga becomes the very death that the unworthy deserve. She is a perfect mirror. She reflects exactly what you bring to her door. She represents a difficult, almost forgotten principle. The unknown can be either a teacher or a destroyer. It depends entirely on your character. It depends on what you carry in your heart when you step into the deep woods. If you bring fear, arrogance, and selfishness, the forest will eat you alive. If you bring courage, respect, and humility, the forest will give you exactly what you need to survive and transform. So what does that ancient test mean for you, right now, in your modern life? When you find yourself standing at the edge of your own forest of unknowns, what will you bring with you? Perhaps the modern assumption that Baba Yaga is pure evil misses the entire point of the story. She is a mirror. She reflects the seeker's own hidden truth. Many traditional tales end with the hero leaving that mossy, creaking hut. They are transformed. A skull full of fire that lights their dark path home. A magical horse. A clear and simple answer. A self they did not have before they entered the darkness. Her terrifying image serves a deep purpose. It is not just meant to scare children into obedience. It is meant to teach a profound lesson, a lesson we have forgotten. It teaches that genuine growth comes directly from confronting your deepest fear, and you must do it with respect. You cannot fight the darkness of the forest with a sword. You cannot banish it with a scream. You cannot burn it down. You must walk right through the middle of it. You must let it look at you. In a world that constantly tells you to eliminate fear, to stamp it out of your life, to medicate it away, Baba Yaga teaches you a very different truth. She teaches you to face it. Let it look at you. Let it speak your name. Let it transform you. Baba Yaga is not a simple villain. She is an ancient archetype of the wild itself. Dangerous, yes. Necessary, absolutely. She is a gatekeeper. She guards the door to the transformation that comes only from surviving the darkest parts of life. This is exactly why her story still echoes across the centuries. You have a Baba Yaga in your own life. You know exactly what it is. It is that challenge you have been avoiding for months, the truth you will not speak aloud, the forest you refuse to enter, the argument you are scared will end everything, the decision that changes your path, the change you will not allow yourself to make. When you finally decide to step into that forest, she will be waiting for you. She is always waiting at the threshold, and if you arrive with the right heart, if you do not flinch, if you speak the right words, the hut on chicken legs will slowly creak. It will turn to face you, and you will get exactly what you came for, not because you were perfectly good, but because you are finally ready. Some stories survive because they are entertaining. Others survive because they are true enough to matter.